We'll introduce the first speaker. If you have a program, if you don't have a program, our student All-Star Jaguars are handing those out. And if you have the seeds, these are wildflower seeds. There's 13 of the seeds in honor of Senator Scott Bennett, and it's for you to take and for you to plant. It's like a whole rainbow of Prairie Hall. Prairie Hall is really something that was an important place to Senator Bennett. It's where our literacy center is. So high school students are getting their high school degree. Right now, you'll see in math classes and in reading classes. And you'll also see we're doing middle college, and we're doing adults are also getting their degrees there. So that's our literacy center. We have faculty and staff. They know to stand in the shade, so they're here. We have our retirees who are going to have a luncheon today. So today's a big day. As we have a ceremony to recognize somebody who was really committed to our students first, and that's why our students here are front and center. Senator Bennett would do several programs with our students. He was involved with our students making Valentines for veterans and senior citizens, also socks for homeless center, and we're going to now begin our ceremony. Governor Pritzker, Senate President Harmon, Senators Tom Bennett, Senator Paul Faraci, Representatives Mike Marin, and Representative, that's it. That's all my representatives, I think. And all of you, faculty, staff, citizens, welcome. My name's Stephen Nacco, and we're going to begin with really the person who gave us the idea. We knew at DAC our students wanted to do something to recognize everything that Scott Bennett meant to us over the years. And so Paul Faraci and his aide, Betty Seidel. Betty Seidel was an aide to Scott Bennett. It is also an aide to, right now, to Paul Faraci. So I'm going to invite up Paul Faraci to begin introducing our speakers today. So Senator Paul Faraci, come on up.
Dr. Nacco, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, good morning, everybody. What an honor it is to be here with you today, and I think Scott would be really pleased to see this turn out. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, Mr. Rob Bennett. Rob Bennett is a former music academic who has been on the music faculty at the University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma City University, and Illinois Wesleyan University. He now works for the University of Illinois at the Center of Innovation in Technology and Learning, and recently became a member of the Board of Trustees for the Urbana Free Library. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce Rob Bennett.
Last week, I transferred my stuff from one phone to another. I have a reason for getting that mundane this early on. I was particularly worried about maintaining the integrity of one given archive from my old phone, which was the last few months' worth of text messages that I'd shared with my now late brother. And while checking the integrity of my data and simultaneously musing about today's tree planting, I found that I'd forgotten a conversation that Scott and I shared less than 2 months before his sudden and, of course, unexpected death. I swear to all present I am not lying about the following. Scott knew I was interested, then as now, in learning the basics of welding. And out of the blue, around this time last year, Scott texted me to ask if I might want to take a welding class with him sometime right here at Danville Area Community College. Two things surprised me about this question. One, that idea sounds really great, but we both live in Urbana-Champaign, or Champaign-Urbana, take your pick. We have welding classes at Champaign's Parkland College too. Maybe we could take a class together someplace closer to home. And secondly, Scott, I knew we shared an interest in someday getting good at woodworking, but I had no idea you were also interested in learning to weld. So what do you hope to eventually learn how to make? Scott effectively answered both of my questions with a singular rationalization. I honestly don't really know what I'll do with it. I just know a welding instructor out there, and I really like him. Like me, Scott loved learning things for the heck of it as much as anything, but more significantly, he made his belief in the importance of educational access a cornerstone of his own career as a public servant. He truly knew the vital importance of community colleges like DAC to their communities. Scott also appreciated and loved this area he grew up in and later served in as a legislator for its surprising wealth of wonderful four-year baccalaureate institutions. And he took great pride and joy in advocating for those institutions too. But he clearly saw that community colleges in particular offer incredible open-ended opportunity to the majority of the population that he served, for whom such opportunities are often unavailable for want of time and or money. Our own mother, raising two young children, transformed her entire career in her mid-30s by going back to school at an area community college when no other educational opportunities were reasonably available on her schedule. And within a few years, she was teaching in their classrooms. It was through this personal experience that Scott knew, even from childhood, why community colleges are so important. It was the reason why he personally started a scholarship here at DAC in our mother's name, long before he ever considered formally learning welding here at DAC in his own non-existent spare time. Scott's personality and his dogged commitment to serving absolutely everyone in his constituency ensured that he touched a frankly absurd number of lives. And as his brother, I ache from losing him every day in ways that continue to evolve and surprise me with every sunrise. And yet, I also meet new people every day who also deeply ache from Scott's loss, who will always remember Scott and some amazing thing he did, or at least attempted to do, on their behalf as his constituents when they just told him their problems. And so from all of this, I know that this hardy bur oak that is being planted at DAC today will not be the last tree planted in a public space in Scott's honor, most likely, but I can think of no place more fitting for the first publicly planted tree to celebrate my brother. And on behalf of my family, I want to sincerely thank everyone at DAC for this touching gesture. May this tree, like Scott's legacy itself, outlive him greatly. May it exist, thrive, and inspire for many, many more decades to come. I'd like to hand things over at this time to the Honorable Uncle Tom Bennett.
I confess I didn't know about that story about the welding. That sounds pretty good. President Nacko, the Board of Trustees, Governor Pritzker, President Harmon, State Senator Faraci, and really the entire Danville Area Community College family. Thank you today for being here and for sharing in this ceremony that recognizes State Senator Scott Bennett. DACC was important to Scott. He loved being on campus, talking with students, learning more about DAC's history. We've had more than one conversation about the different parts of how things came to be here. He quickly made many friends here. And I can feel the love. It's just tremendous, and thank you. Rarely does a week go by where someone somewhere doesn't stop me to talk about Scott, of how Scott listened, suggested something, or shared ideas on how to help. He always had a story to tell, and sometimes Grandma was part of the conversation. But it's all about something to help you smile and maybe pause to appreciate life just a little bit more. Thank you, Dr. Nacko, and several others for your recent comments in the Champaign News-Gazette just the other day. The quote, "He helped make Illinois better." Those are wonderful words for all of us to consider in so many ways. I talked with DEC Chair David Harvey late yesterday, and we shared how much Scott meant to DAC and how much DAC meant to Scott. And of course, due to David's health and Terry's good advice, they thought it best that David needs to be home today. So God bless you, David, and we want to mention you as well as your concerns and your thoughts are here. Today's very kind gesture is so greatly appreciated by Scott's family. He would love the idea of a tree. It's all about change. It's all about growth and adjustment along the way. Education. Wow. Growth in all of its forms were important to Scott. He was always reading, sometimes multiple books at the same time, encouraging, talking with others about their next steps, helping people to identify a dream, and then finding a way to help them achieve it. Giving people permission to be people. Well, we don't always get it right the first time, but maybe the second time, or maybe the third. To Scott, it was about growing, about changing, about adjusting toward that dream, and about helping people. To the DAC family, Governor Pritzker, Senator Harmon, and members of the community, God bless you, and thank you for this special moment of honoring Scott with this tree planting. Our family is very grateful. DAC is a magical place where you change and you touch lives every day. And Scott so loved being part of that. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Senator Don Harmon, our President of the Senate. Senator, if you would, please.
Well, good morning. I parked my car in the lot across the way, and I cracked the door open, and I heard a chuckle. And I said, "Scott?" And then I heard a sentence. I said, "Scott Bennett?" I parked next to Rob. So to the entire Bennett family, Senator Stacy Bennett, Senator Tom, but you have a lot of senators in the family. Senator Paul Faraci is a part of the family, too. Appreciate being included. So Scott Bennett was so many things to so many people. A wonderful friend, a devoted father and husband, a kind and caring public servant. At the top of that list would be an unwavering advocate for opportunities. Scott believed in being the voice of the voiceless, recognizing those living in the margins, and constantly working to give them a say and to ease their burden. He understood the ability of education to lift people up, and that's why he worked day in and day out to prioritize investing in education at all levels. He understood the power of some place like Danville Area Community College to forever change someone's life, and how that was true whether you were a high school valedictorian taking your first steps into higher education, or a displaced worker needing a new set of skills to get back into the workforce and provide for your family. So it is fitting that we find ourselves here today, a place that symbolizes Scott's commitment to public education, and more importantly, his dedication to students and people who rely on it for opportunities. I want to thank President Stephen Nacko and the entire Danville Area Community College community and Scott's family and friends for inviting me to be part of this event. It affords me the opportunity to set aside the daily hassles and for a moment think about my good friend, find his spirit lingering in my heart, his voice echoing in my head or in the parking lot, and be left with no other choice but to smile at Scott's unbridled enthusiasm, optimism, and of course his sense of humor. In telling Scott's stories and sharing his memories, we reflect on Scott's shining spirit and hopefully try to emulate his approach to public service and to life in general. Scott's mission was to help people be better. He succeeded. For in having known Scott, we are all better people. For decades to come, this tree will grow, its branches will spread, and it will become embedded in this great campus, perhaps offering shelter and shade to those who pass by. And in doing so, Scott's legacy will live on. I can't help but note Scott would appreciate the irony that this looks a little bit more like a Mike Frericks tree at the moment. But I'm sure it too will grow. So thank you all for letting me be a part of this event. It is my great privilege to introduce the governor of the state of Illinois, who recognized always Scott's important role in our public life and made the effort to come over from the Capitol to be with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, President Harmon. And I guess, as you said, Senator, it's a lot of senators. You know, when you're a former senator, your title is still senator. It carries with you for the rest of your life. And I have to say, so being a senator forever is something that I think is a title that should belong to Scott. That he will be our senator forever, someone that I think all of us, everybody that was in his presence, that was touched by him, will remember him as a great public servant. For us big guys, these see-through podiums are not great, just so you know. We like to hide behind these things, so... and I hate to say, Scott and I shared a little of that in common and joked about it once or twice. Well, good morning to everyone. It is great to see all of you here, and it is a great honor, really, and pleasure to be here to remember our friend Senator Scott Bennett and truly his extraordinary impact at DAC and throughout our entire state. And for those of you who don't know what that impact is across the entire state and just felt his presence here, I should tell you that as governor, it really was felt everywhere. And we talked about Scott virtually in every place in this state because of the impact that he had. In a world of public service, Scott was a statesman. And that's not a word that I throw around lightly. He was a genuinely good and decent man who cared deeply about the people that he represented and the people of the entire state of Illinois. He radiated joy. He always lent a helping hand when he knew that you needed it. And whether you attended one of his many town hall meetings on campus or elsewhere, or participated in his program to donate Valentines to veterans, all of us were made better by the example that he set for us. One of his leading areas of focus, and President Harmon mentioned it, was his focus on education. As chair of the state's higher education committee, Scott used his legislative acumen, his good nature, his expert advocacy to increase affordability and access to our state's great universities and to our community colleges, including especially DAC. He believed that every Illinoisan, no matter where you came from, no matter what zip code you lived in, no matter your socioeconomic status, deserved the opportunity to earn a degree. And he spent really his entire career as a senator working to make that vision a reality. Well, in the 9 months since Scott's passing, the Illinois General Assembly passed a budget that expanded our MAP grant program to make community college tuition-free and fee-free for every student from a working-class family. And it's exactly the kind of investment that Scott would have voted for. In fact, he would have led the fight. He would have championed it. And I know all of us who work at the Capitol wish that he had been there to see it pass and, most importantly, to see its impact. Scott's legacy lives on beyond just the capital of our state, of course. The Barbara Bennett Family Scholarship that he helped create has been around to help jumpstart people in their working to get back to learning, something that they wanted to do for some time but were unable to do. There are countless students who will go on to be educators and healthcare professionals, and yes, state senators, thanks to the work that Scott did. He paved the way for so many people to have great futures. And with the dedication of the Burr Oak, Scott's spirit will be here on this campus, looking over DAC students every time they walk around the campus. One day this tree, I'm told, can stand at 100 feet tall, like Scott Bennett's integrity and his big heart. It's a wonderful symbol of his legacy to us all. To Scott's brother Rob, to his uncle, Senator Tom Bennett, and of course, to the loves of his life, Stacy and Sam and Emma. May this Burr Oak serve as a reminder of Scott's love, his love for you, for the young people who will forever benefit from his good works, for this community, and for our entire great state of Illinois. And may we all carry his legacy in our hearts, leaving the world better than we found it. It's now my great pleasure and honor to invite the family and the speakers to join me up here as we complete the planting of this Burr Oak.
Small patch of dirt. You'll all have to like each other. Everybody get close, and on the count of 3. Okay,
Senator?
we're good. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thanks again for coming. Very nice.
Oh, I kept it way more mild.
Right, this one.
Thank you all for coming. This concludes our ceremony. Retirees go to lunch and just network with each other if you can do it in the shade.
And maybe remind everyone that we can come and visit the tree whenever we like, right?
Are you?
Well, yeah, let's remember that we can always come back and visit the tree anytime and visit the college. We really appreciate everything you've done for us.
And take a welding class.
Yeah, take a welding class. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, the real money is the dangerous stuff.